You're on the clock or whether or not, it really doesn't matter. We want to make sure we highlight our state employees.
How a newly signed bill makes history and puts more money in state workers' pockets.
Plus, why a Columbia man accused of killing his wife in 2006 won't be facing a jury just yet.
Just one wonderful opportunity for them to get to interface with NASA directly.
And how an out-of-this-world opportunity makes it way for students in mid-Missouri. This is KOMU 8 News at 6.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Well, a bill that's not only making history, but making an impact. Good evening, everyone. I'm Evie Allen.
And I'm Emily Spain. Thanks so much for joining us. Governor Mike Parson signed a bill into law today that creates the largest pay increase for state workers in Missouri history. KOMU 8's Nate Sanchez attended the press conference, and it looked like there were just a few people there, Nate.
Yeah, there were actually hundreds of state workers gathered for the press conference. The crowd gave Governor Parsons a loud round of applause as he entered the room to sign the bill. The law will give state workers an 8.7% cost of living pay increase. Overnight workers will receive an additional $2 per hour. The state currently has a shortage of more than 7,000 employees. Parsons says the state wants to attract new employees and reduce turnover.
We got to be able to retain them, and I think this is a good start, and I think we're headed down that road, and I think you'll see that number get more and more about retaining state employees.
Parson thanked the state employees for being what he called a true example of public servants. In the studio, Nate Sanchez, KOMU 8 News.
We have an update tonight to a trial involving human remains found in Columbia's landfill. Keith Comfort is charged with murdering his wife, Megan Schultz, back in 2006. He was supposed to go to trial today.
Instead, both the defense and prosecution met this morning to set a new trial. June 12th. Now, KOMU 8's Colby Zach spoke with a defense attorney to find out why. Colby.
Comfort won't start his trial for at least another 3 months. This comes after court officials say that they discovered new documents that could affect the case. The defense and the prosecution both saw the documents on Saturday. They show police arrested Megan Schultz on drug-related charges in 2006 prior to her death. The defense says that the new report may lead to additional details that could impact Comfort's trial. Comfort's lawyer said CPD adopted a new record system since the initial report, so they will need more time to find more information. He said over time, parts have been lost through new technology.
You have to have, compatible computer systems and so on and so forth. I don't think, anybody was doing anything necessarily wrong. I think it's just difficult when you're dealing with a case that's, several years old, obviously.
Comfort will have 5 pre-trial hearings before the new trial date of June 12th. In the newsroom, Colby Zach, KOMU 8 News.
Of course, this case dates back nearly 20 years, so here's a quick recap of what's happened. In 2006, police first reported Megan Schultz as missing. Then over 10 years went by before police arrested her husband, Keith Comfort, in 2019. The Columbia Police Department says Comfort confessed to strangling his wife and putting her body in a dumpster. Prosecutors then charged Comfort with second-degree murder. A month after police arrested Comfort, they found Schultz remains in a Columbia landfill. We have a full timeline and breakdown of this case on our website, KOMU.com. Matt.
It's February 27th, but spring storms have already begun. Now Oklahoma having the most tornadoes out of any February on record after last night. Multiple tornadoes occurring there. A string of severe weather from Texas to Oklahoma to central Missouri last night. The Columbia Regional Airport picked up a 64-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's kind of led to some downed trees and even some power lines across the region. Just to the west in central Cooper County near Bunsen, a 70-mile-per-hour thunderstorm wind gust occurred. So this was a pretty active situation. It moved through in the early overnight hours. It's now well off to the northeast. We're clearing things out. Temperatures near 60 right now in central Missouri, but it's much colder to the north in Kirksville in the upper 40s. That cooler air is moving in tonight. We'll have the timeline for that and how long it sticks around coming up.
Thank you, Matt. Well, overnight storms brought strong winds to mid-Missouri, and some communities are dealing with the aftermath today. The storms moved through the area last night, leaving downed trees and power lines, as you see here. KOMU 8 crews went to a scene next to Hallsville Intermediate School, where a fallen tree hit a power line, causing a traffic crash. Now, near Kingdom City, more than a dozen power line poles collapsed this morning. Power in that area went out around 7, but Callaway Electric Cooperative crews responded to the situation. Power returned around 5:45 this evening.
Power has mainly returned to towns throughout Callaway County, but Ameren said today that nearly 2,000 people in Missouri are still without power. Take a look at this power outage map. And now most of the people affected are in the St. Louis area. One water safety group is taking matters into its own hands following a city water testing violation.
KOMU 8's Tia Maggio is in studio now. So Tia, can you tell us what led to the unfolding of these events?
City Council admitted last week to receiving a violation from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for failing to test Columbia's water for copper and lead last year. In fact, the last reported test was back in 2019, more than 3 years ago. During the meeting, the co-founder of the KOMU Water Coalition confronted the city and called for transparency. The group released their own report today, calling for the city to take action.
Out here to attack anybody, but we definitely do know these are important things that we that we need to have taken care of for our water utility and protection of public health. And so we just want to make sure that these things are being done and they're being done right.
At that same time council meeting, the director of utilities hoped to have a report on how the city plans to work on the situation today. So far, no report. KOMU reached out to the city, but was only told that the city couldn't confirm when that report would be released. In the studio, Tia Maggio, KOMU 8 News.
Coming up, some mid-Missouri high school students are looking beyond the stars with an amazing opportunity. We'll explain.
Plus, how a parking garage in downtown Columbia is getting work done to make it a little safer.
And it's no surprise that it's been a windy day. Wind speeds decreasing this evening, temperatures dropping too. Cloud cover going to start to build in. We have the timeline of these clouds coming up.
Happening today, the city of Columbia is bringing in materials needed to start installing steel panels in the windows and their openings of the 5th and Walnut, as you can see, garage parking right here.
Yeah, it's just north of Broadway and right next, across the street rather, from the Columbia Police Department. The point of installing these steel panels in the window openings is to work on safety there, and it's only on levels 5 through 8. The new safety measures are in addition to the 10-foot fencing that was installed around the perimeter of the garage last year. The garage has been the site of at least 8 suicides since it opened back in 2011. The city estimates the steel barriers will take about a month to install. The garage will still be open, but certain spots might be closed off. The first flight out of the new terminal at the Kansas City International Airport is set to leave tomorrow morning.
Now, the ribbon cutting ceremony today was one to remember, with big names showing up. Leaders gathered this morning to usher in the new terminal, including Governor Mike Parson and U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Buttigieg was the guest of honor, and both him and Parson called the moment historic.
Even for a transportation secretary, it is not often that you get to mark a major new airport terminal in America, and that makes this a very special day.
The first flight out of the terminal will be at 5 tomorrow morning. Matt.
I'll miss the simplicity of the old airport, but new things must happen. Temperatures in the 60s today, well above average. We're going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow morning, but still looking at some warm days ahead. Details coming up.
Here's what's happening right now. The U.S. Marshals Service announced today that there was a security breach within its department. That breach happened over a week ago.
Officials said it involved sensitive information from law enforcement, but the breach did not include the database involving the Witness Protection Program. A law enforcement official said no one in the program is in danger because of the breach, and it's unclear who's behind the breach, but an investigation is ongoing.
Schools around the country are finding new ways to give students hands-on learning, and some of these projects are out of this world. Literally. KOMU 8's Harrison Vapnik is here with more on how Columbia students are learning about space technology. Harrison.
Emily, throughout the school year, Hickman students have been working with advanced technology directly with NASA's space station. NASA representatives got a first-hand look from the students who are building the future.
NASA.
NASA representatives landed in Columbia Monday to judge student projects as part of a national design challenge.
It's just very cool to see the excitement that the students have, the capability that they have even at the high school level. it's just really refreshing to see that type of science and technology work happening here in Hickman.
The projects are part of NASA's Direct High School program, where students replicate NASA technologies and experiments. Through 7 months of work, students use these 3D printers inside Mr. Merz's classroom to build the technologies to be able to present today to NASA's representatives, in which they said it took a lot of trial and error.
It's not like some traditional classes where you're going to have a procedure and you have to get results that you know what they're going to be. Here you're given a problem and you're given resources and told to figure it out and to solve it.
The mission of CASA, the Columbia Aeronautics and Space Association, is to have students work directly with NASA to produce projects and hardware for the International Space Station.
They're able to work on several design and prototype projects. So the students pick what project they want to work on. They design, build, and prototype it.
The goal is still to challenge students to work critically in building the future.
The best thing the students get out of this is just that experience hands-on doing stuff. It requires them to figure out how to master a schedule, how to manage their time, and then how to communicate their ideas.
Ideas they presented to the pros Monday. In the next month, those groups of students will learn if they've been chosen as finalists who present their designs at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Reporting in the studio, Harrison Vapnik.